Vera's world wasn't darkness. It was 1,000 shades of silver light that no one else could see. While the court of King Raymond Stormcrest saw a blind, stumbling servant girl, worthless, pitiful, barely worthy of the scraps from the high table, Vera saw truth. She saw the luminous essence of souls, the hidden corruption festering in noble hearts, the lies that dripped like poison from smiling mouths. And tonight, as she carried a golden chalice toward the Alpha King's table, her trembling hands gripping the stem, she saw something that would destroy her. Raymond Stormcrest's soul blazed before her like a star wrapped in thorns, brilliant gold streaked with black rot, and at its core, pulsing with undeniable light, was the mark she had prayed never to find, the mate bond. He was hers. The man who mocked her daily, who called her the palace charity case, who made servants place bets on how many steps she'd take before tripping, he was her fated mate. And he was dying. The great hall reeked of roasted meat, spilled wine, and aristocratic cruelty. Vera moved through the chaos like a ghost, her milky white eyes seeing nothing the court would recognize. But in the silver-lit world of soul sight, every noble blazed like a candle, some bright with ambition, others dim with mediocrity, many twisted with malice. None compared to the supernova at the high table. Alpha King Raymond Stormcrest's soul burned gold, magnificent and terrible, but black thorns strangled his heart, a curse eating him from within. And connecting his dying essence to hers, a silver thread only she could see, pulsed the mate bond. Her fated mate, the man who despised her. 10 silver she drops it before the dais, Lord Garrett whispered somewhere to her left. 20 she trips on her own dress, Lady Margot countered. Vera's fingers tightened on the chalice. The wine inside sloshed dangerously. 12 more steps. The court's laughter felt like broken glass against her skin. 11 steps. 10. Raymond's voice cut through the merriment. Did someone actually assign the blind girl to serve at the high table? What inspired this disaster entertainment? The hall erupted. Vera kept walking, her too long hem deliberately sabotaged by the other servants this morning. They didn't know she navigated by soul light, not sight. 9 steps. 8. Perhaps we should let her lead our next battle, Raymond continued, warming to his theme. The enemy will die from laughter watching her charge into trees. The mate bond screamed in Vera's chest. Every word he spoke carved deeper. 7 steps. 6. My king. She stopped before the dais, voice steady despite the agony. Your wine. Raymond leaned forward, his soul flickered, the black thorns tightening. Look at me when you address your king. Vera raised her face. Her pale eyes were corpse white, unsettling to those who could see them. I am looking, Your Majesty. Someone snickered. Raymond's soul flared with rage. Are you being insolent? No, Your Majesty. I cannot see your face, but I am facing you. It's the best I can offer. The temperature dropped. Anticipation rippled through the nobles' souls. They loved watching Raymond destroy people. The best you can offer, Raymond repeated slowly, is profoundly insufficient. Tell me, girl, what possessed you to think you belonged anywhere near my table? The mate bond pulled taut. He couldn't feel it. The curse had deadened him to their connection. I go where I am assigned, Your Majesty. Then someone made a catastrophic error in judgment. Raymond stood, his alpha presence crashing over her like a wave. You're not even going to submit? You can feel an alpha's command. I feel it, Your Majesty. Vera's hands trembled. I simply don't know which direction to bow. If you'd like, I can kneel here and hope I'm facing the right way. Gasps echoed through the hall. To them, it sounded like suicidal sarcasm.
To Vera, it was truth. She genuinely didn't know where his physical body stood. Raymond's soul erupted. The black thorns dug deeper, feeding on his anger. "You dare!" The chalice slipped from Vera's fingers. It tumbled through the air in slow motion. Wine sprayed outward in a crimson arc. Vera's soul sight tracked every drop. She could have caught it. She let it fall. The golden cup hit stone with a resounding clang. Wine splashed across the dais, spattering Raymond's boots. The precious vintage pooled like blood. Perfect silence.
Then Raymond laughed. Cold, cruel. "Well, I suppose we have our answer. The blind cannot serve. Lord Garrett, you win your bet." The court exploded with relieved laughter. Vera stood frozen, wine dripping from her fingers. The chalice had been poisoned, not enough to kill, but enough to weaken. She'd sensed the dark magic clinging to the metal the moment she touched it. Someone had tried to poison the Alpha King. She'd just saved his life. "Clean up this mess," Raymond commanded, "and escort the blind charity case back to the kitchens before she destroys something else." Servants grabbed Vera's arms, dragging her toward the exit. As they pulled her past the throne, her soul sight caught something that froze her blood. Lord Theron, Raymond's most trusted advisor, stood in the shadows. His soul, normally muddy brown, writhed with black tendrils, the same dark magic strangling Raymond's heart. Theron smiled as Vera passed. His lips moved, forming words meant only for her. "I know what you can see." The servants shoved her through the doorway. Vera collapsed against the kitchen wall, heart hammering. The mate bond throbbed with Raymond's contempt. But that pain was nothing compared to the cold terror washing over her. Lord Theron knew. The man cursing Raymond to death knew she could see his magic, which meant she wasn't just a blind servant anymore. She was a witness, and witnesses didn't survive long in Iron Peak Hold. Vera's quarters were barely larger than a closet, a servant's cell with a straw mattress and a single candle she couldn't see but kept lit for appearances. She collapsed onto the thin bedding, her body shaking from the encounter with Theron. "I know what you can see." The words echoed in her mind like a death sentence. Her fingers found the small pouch at her waist, pulling out the object she'd stolen from the great hall in the chaos, Raymond's discarded glove, left on the high table when he'd stormed out. She shouldn't touch it, shouldn't risk it, but the mate bond pulled at her chest like a hook in her ribs, demanding she understand, demanding she help. Vera pressed the leather glove to her chest. The world exploded into silver fire. Her soul sight erupted with an intensity she'd never experienced. The glove became a conduit, still warm with Raymond's essence, and through it she plunged into the depths of his soul. Not just seeing it from the outside, she was inside it, drowning in him. Gold light surrounded her, brilliant and pure. This was Raymond's true nature. Honor, fierce protectiveness, a loyalty so deep it bordered on obsession. He wasn't cruel. He'd never been cruel. But wrapped around that golden core, black thorns pulsed with malevolent life. The curse. Up close, it was worse than she'd imagined. The dark magic had roots that burrowed deep into his essence, feeding on every negative emotion, his anger, his pride, his pain. And every time he felt those things, the curse grew stronger. It was changing him, warping him. The man who mocked her in the great hall wasn't entirely Raymond anymore. It was the curse speaking through him, using his voice to spread more anger, more cruelty, feeding itself on the resulting pain. Vera gasped, pulling back from the vision. The glove fell from her trembling hands. She'd seen curses before, minor hexes, petty magical tricks, but this was assassination by slow corruption. Someone was killing Raymond from the inside out, and he didn't even know he was dying. The mate bond allows deeper sight, she realized. I can see into him in ways no one else can. A memory surfaced, unbidden. She was 7 years old again, running through her family's estate, chasing her older brother through the gardens. She'd been born with perfect vision, a daughter of minor nobility, destined for a comfortable life of political marriages and courtly games.
Then the sickness came, a plague that swept through the northern territories, killing thousands. It took her parents, her brother, her entire bloodline. Vera survived, but the fever burned away her sight, leaving her eyes pale and empty. She should have died. Everyone said so. A blind child with no family, no prospects, no value. But on the third night after her sight died, lying alone in the healer's ward, she'd opened her eyes to a new world. Silver light surrounded everything, the souls of the healers moving like lanterns in the dark, their essences revealing their true intentions. Some pitied her, others planned to sell her to slavers once she healed. Soul sight, the gods' cruel compensation for what the plague had stolen. It saved her life that night. She'd seen the healer with the blackened soul approaching with poison, had screamed until the guards came. They'd found the vial in the woman's pocket, discovered she'd been hired by a rival house to eliminate the last Ashenfell heir. But Soulsight also damned her. Word spread that the blind Ashenfell girl had visions. The new lord who inherited her family's lands decided she was either cursed or insane. Either way, she was an embarrassment. He'd sent her to Iron Peak Hold as a servant, washing his hands of her. That was 16 years ago. Vera had learned to hide her gift, to play the helpless blind girl, to survive by being invisible. Until tonight. Until she'd seen her dying mate and the man who was killing him. Vera picked up Raymond's glove again, steeling herself. The vision came easier this time. She focused on the black thorns, tracing them back to their source. The curse had an anchor point, a place where it connected to the physical world. Lord Theron. The dark magic flowed from him to Raymond in a constant stream, invisible to everyone but her. Theron fed the curse daily, probably through something Raymond consumed or touched regularly. And every time Raymond felt anger or pride, every time he lashed out at someone, the curse fed on that darkness and grew stronger. Raymond had weeks left, maybe less. The thorns would eventually crush his heart entirely. I have to save him, Vera thought, pressing the glove to her chest. The mate bond sang in agreement, warming despite the terror flooding her veins. But how? He hates me. The court thinks I'm worthless, and Theron knows I can see what he's doing. She could run, flee Iron Peak Hold tonight, disappear into the wilderness. The bond would hurt. It would hurt terribly, but she'd survive. Raymond would die, but she'd live. Vera stared at the glove in her hands, feeling the residual warmth of her mate's touch. No, she couldn't run. Wouldn't run. I'll save you, she whispered to the empty room, to the golden soul dying in the king's chambers above. Even if you never know it was me, even if you hate me until your last breath, you're mine, and I protect what's mine. The decision settled into her bones like iron. A knock on her door shattered the moment. Vera froze. It was well past midnight. No one knocked on servants' doors at this hour. Unless... Open up, girl. Theron's voice, smooth as poison. We need to have a conversation about what you saw tonight. Vera's blood turned to ice. Her soul sight flared, showing her Theron's essence through the wooden door, black tendrils writhing, hungry, anticipating. He'd come to kill her, right now, before she could warn anyone. Her quarters had no windows, no back exit, Just one door, and Theron stood on the other side. I know you're awake, little mouse. Open the door or I'll break it down. Your choice. Vera's hand found the small knife she kept for cutting vegetables. It was pathetic compared to Theron's power, but it was all she had. The door handle began to turn.
Vera survived that night by lying. I saw nothing, my lord, she'd whispered through the door, making her voice shake with convincing terror. I'm blind. I see nothing at all. Theron had stood there for 5 agonizing minutes before finally leaving, but his parting words haunted her. I'll be watching you, little mouse. One mistake and we'll discover if blind girls can scream. The next morning, Vera volunteered for every assignment near Raymond. The head housekeeper, Mrs. Pemberton, looked at her like she'd lost her mind. You want to clean the king's study, polish his armor, serve his private meals? The old woman's eyebrows climbed toward her hairline. Girl, you can barely navigate the servants' halls without tripping. What possessed you? I need to be useful, Vera said simply. Please, I'll work twice as hard as anyone else. Mrs. Pemberton sighed. Your funeral, but when the king has you whipped for incompetence, don't say I didn't warn you. Vera's first assignment was delivering Raymond's breakfast. She carried the tray through the castle, her soul sight mapping every corridor, every guard, every servant. And there, in Raymond's private study, his golden essence flickered weakly, the black thorns tighter than yesterday. He was deteriorating faster. She pushed open the door with her hip. Your Majesty, breakfast. Raymond sat behind his massive desk, surrounded by maps and reports. His soul pulsed with exhaustion and barely controlled rage. Leave it on the side table and get out. Vera's soul sight caught it immediately. The wine cup on the tray glowed with dark magic. Not Theron's curse, but something else. Fresh poison added sometime between the kitchen and here. Her heart hammered. She crossed the room, deliberately positioning herself beside the desk. As she set down the tray, her elbow accidentally caught the wine cup. It toppled, splashing crimson liquid across Raymond's pristine military reports. You clumsy fool! Raymond shot to his feet, his chair crashing backward. Those maps are irreplaceable. Vera stumbled back, her act perfect. I'm sorry, Your Majesty, I didn't mean. Sorry? Sorry? Raymond's voice shook with fury. Wine dripped from the parchment, ruining hours of strategic planning. Do you have any idea what you've just destroyed? Those were deployment orders for the northern border. I'll clean it. Get out, Raymond roared. Get out before I have you thrown in the dungeons for sabotage. Vera fled, his rage following her like physical blows. The mate bond transmitted every ounce of his anger, burning in her chest. She made it to an empty corridor before collapsing against the wall, gasping. Worth it. She'd saved him again. Child, are you all right? Vera looked up to see an elderly woman in healer's robes, Mira, the castle's head physician. Her soul glowed steady silver, one of the kindest essences Vera had ever seen. I'm fine, Vera managed. Just clumsy. Mira's shrewd eyes studied her. Your eyes don't track movement, but you never bump into people. You navigate crowds like you can see them, and you're always exactly where you need to be to prevent disasters. Please, Vera whispered, don't tell anyone. Why would I? Whatever gift you have, you're using it to protect our fool of a king. Mira's expression softened. But you can't do it alone. Let me help. Tears pricked Vera's eyes. There's a curse on him. Dark magic wrapped around his heart. It's killing him, and I don't know how to stop it. Who? Mira's voice turned sharp. Who's cursing him? Lord Theron. Mira went pale. Gods above! Theron is the king's most trusted advisor. No one will believe. I know, Vera wiped her eyes. That's why I have to work alone. No, Mira gripped her shoulders. Working alone gets you killed. I'll help however I can, but child, you need to understand, if Theron suspects you're interfering, he won't just kill you, he'll make it look like an accident, and Raymond will never know he lost his only chance at survival. Before Vera could respond, heavy footsteps echoed down the corridor. Lord Theron rounded the corner, his soul writhing with black malice. He stopped when he saw them, his eyes narrowing on Vera. "The blind servant and the old healer," he said smoothly. "How touching. Tell me, Mistress Mira, has our clumsy friend been sharing any interesting observations about the court?" Mira stood, placing herself between Vera and Theron. "She's been sharing how much her back hurts from scrubbing floors. Why? Do you have medical concerns, my lord?" Theron's smile didn't reach his eyes. "Just curiosity. The girl seems to stumble into the most remarkable coincidences." His gaze locked on Vera. "Wine spills that prevent the king from drinking, trays that drop before meals, almost like someone knows something they shouldn't." Vera kept her face blank, her milky eyes unfocused. Theron stepped closer. "I wonder what would happen if I tested that theory, if I arranged a private meal for the king and made sure our blind friend was the only one serving." His voice dropped to a whisper. Would there be another convenient accident, or would she finally slip up and reveal what she really sees? He walked away, leaving the threat hanging in the air like poison. Mira grabbed Vera's arm. "He's going to force your hand, make you choose between exposing yourself or watching Raymond die." Vera's soul sight tracked Theron's retreating essence. "Then I'll have to be smarter than him." "Child, he's a master strategist who's fooled the entire kingdom. How can you possibly—" "Because I have something he doesn't," Vera interrupted quietly. "I have everything to lose, and that makes me dangerous." 3 days later, Vera received her assignment: serve Raymond's private dinner, alone, in his chambers. Mrs. Pemberton delivered the news with obvious pity. "Lord Theron specifically requested you, said the king deserves entertainment with his meal." She shook her head. "I'm sorry, girl. I tried to argue, but Theron outranks me." Vera's hands didn't shake as she accepted the tray that evening. Her soul sight screamed warnings. Every dish glowed with poison, not enough to kill instantly, but enough to weaken Raymond catastrophically before the curse finished him. Theron had set his trap. Vera could expose herself by accidentally destroying every dish, revealing her knowledge, or she could serve the poison and watch her mate die. She carried the tray to Raymond's chambers, her mind racing. The king sat by his fireplace, his soul flickering like a dying star. He didn't even look up when she entered. "Leave it on the table," he said tiredly. Vera set down the tray, stepped back. Her soul sight showed her Theron's essence lurking in the corridor outside, waiting to see what she'd do. Raymond reached for the wine. Vera made her choice. She lunged forward, knocking the entire tray to the floor. Food and drink exploded across the expensive carpet. Raymond surged to his feet. "What in the gods' names?" "Poison," Vera gasped, abandoning pretense. "All of it. Don't eat any of it." Raymond stared at her. "You're insane." "I'm the only one telling you the truth." Vera's blind eyes fixed unerringly on his face. "Lord Theron is trying to kill you. He's been poisoning you for months, and tonight was supposed to be the final dose." "Theron?" Raymond's laugh was sharp. "My most loyal advisor? You expect me to believe?" The door burst open. Theron entered, his expression carefully arranged in shock. "Your Majesty, I heard a crash. Is everything—" He saw the ruined food. "What happened here?" "The blind girl claims you're poisoning me," Raymond said flatly. "She's clearly lost her mind." Theron's soul blazed with triumph. "Your Majesty, I'm deeply concerned. This girl has been displaying erratic behavior for weeks. Perhaps she's dangerous. For your safety, I recommend the dungeons until we can determine if she's merely mad or actively treasonous." Guards appeared in the doorway, summoned by Theron's signal. Raymond looked between Vera and Theron, his expression unreadable. "Take her," he finally said. Vera didn't resist as the guards grabbed her arms. She kept her eyes on Raymond, memorizing the golden soul she'd tried to save. As they dragged her toward the dungeons, Theron whispered in her ear, "Blind mice don't win against wolves, girl. You should have stayed in the shadows." But Vera smiled because her soul sight had caught something Theron missed. Raymond had pocketed a piece of the bread before the guards took her away. He was going to test it. The dungeon cell was cold, dark, and exactly what Vera deserved for gambling everything on Raymond's intelligence. She sat in the corner, her soul sight showing her the rats scurrying through the walls, the guards' bored essence 2 corridors away, and, most importantly, Raymond's golden soul 3 floors above, pacing his chambers like a caged wolf. He hadn't eaten the bread yet, but he hadn't thrown it away either. Hours passed. Vera's body ached from the stone floor, but she didn't sleep. She couldn't. Her soul sight kept tracking Raymond's movements, watching the black thorns around his heart pulse with each beat, growing incrementally tighter. Then, near midnight, his soul flared with sudden shock. He'd tested the bread and found the poison. Vera's heart soared until she saw Theron's corrupted essence rushing toward Raymond's chambers. The advisor had anticipated this. Whatever happened next would determine if she lived or died. "Release her." The guard's startled voice echoed down the corridor. Vera looked up as the cell door clanged open. Raymond stood there, backlit by torchlight, his face unreadable. "Your Majesty," I said, "release her." Raymond's voice was flat, dangerous. "Now." The guard fumbled with keys. Vera stood, her legs cramping from hours of stillness. She couldn't see Raymond's expression, but his soul churned with confusion, anger, and something else, the faintest flicker of the mate bond, trying desperately to break through the curse's stranglehold. "Come with me," Raymond ordered. "We need to talk." He led her through the castle in silence, bypassing his chambers for a small, warded council room. Once inside, he rounded on her. The bread was poisoned, hemlock and nightshade, enough to weaken but not kill. His eyes bored into her. "How did you know?" Vera's throat tightened. "I told you, Your Majesty, Lord Theron." "I'm not asking about Theron." Raymond stepped closer, and Vera felt the mate bond pull taut between them. "I'm asking how a blind servant girl identified poison in food she couldn't see, couldn't smell, couldn't possibly have known about." His voice dropped. "What are you?" "Your only chance at survival," Vera whispered. Raymond's hand shot out, gripping her chin, forcing her face upward. His soul blazed with frustration and desperate need for answers. "Stop speaking in riddles. Tell me the truth, or I'll assume you're in league with whoever's trying to kill me." "I can see souls." The words tumbled out before Vera could stop them. "Not faces, not bodies, the essence of what people truly are. And yours is dying, Your Majesty. The curse wrapped around your heart, it's accelerating. You have weeks left, maybe less." Raymond released her like she'd burned him. "You're mad." "I'm the only one telling you the truth," Vera's voice strengthened. "The dreams you've been having, silver light, a woman's voice warning you, that's the mate bond trying to break through the curse's stranglehold. That's me reaching for you when you sleep, when the dark magic's hold is weakest." Raymond went very still. "How do you know about the dreams?" "Because I'm having them too. Every night I see your soul dying, and I can't reach you." Tears tracked down Vera's cheeks. "I've been trying to save you, but you hate me too much to listen." "I don't—" Raymond stopped, his jaw clenching. "I don't hate you. I don't know you well enough to hate you. You mock me, call me useless, worthless." "I mock everyone," but his voice had lost its certainty. "It's expected of an Alpha King to be cruel, Vera's laugh was bitter. That's not you. That's the curse. It feeds on negative emotions. Anger, pride, contempt. Every time you lash out at someone, it grows stronger. Theron designed it perfectly. He's turning you into a monster to accelerate your own death. Raymond sank into a chair, his hands trembling. If what you say is true, why should I believe you're not part of the plot? Theron could have sent you to gain my trust. Then test me. Vera stepped forward, her milky eyes finding his face with unnatural precision. Look at me. Really look. Your wolf knows the truth even if your mind refuses it. Raymond's breath caught. His soul surged toward hers, the mate bond flaring gold between them. For one perfect moment, the curse's hold weakened, and he felt it, the undeniable pull of fate. Then the black thorns constricted violently. Raymond gasped, clutching his chest. What? The curse fights the bond, Vera said urgently. It knows I'm a threat. Your Majesty, please, let me help you before it's too late. Raymond looked up at her, pain etched across his features. How? If Theron is truly behind this, he's untouchable. The council trusts him. The military trusts him. If I accuse him without proof, I'll look paranoid, weak. Then we find proof. Vera knelt before him, desperate. My soul sight can track his magic. I can show you where it anchors, how it spreads. But I need access to your chambers, your council meetings, everywhere Theron might. No, Raymond stood abruptly. Absolutely not. If Theron suspects I'm listening to you, he'll accelerate whatever he's planning. You'll be a target. I'm already a target. Vera's voice rose. He knows what I can see. He's just waiting for the right moment to eliminate me quietly. My only chance is staying close to you, where there are witnesses. Raymond paced the small room, his soul churning with indecision. Finally, he turned back to her. I'll make you my personal attendant. You'll clean my study, serve my private meals, stay within earshot during meetings, but you will not speak unless spoken to. You will not draw attention to yourself. And if Theron asks, you're there because I'm punishing you for the dinner incident with menial labor. Hope flared in Vera's chest. Thank you, Your Majesty. Don't thank me yet. Raymond's expression hardened. If I discover you're lying, if this is some elaborate scheme to get close to me for nefarious purposes, I will execute you myself. Understood? Understood. Good. Now get some sleep. Tomorrow we... Raymond stumbled, his hand flying to his chest again. This time the pain didn't pass. His soul flickered wildly, the black thorns constricting like a fist. Your Majesty! Vera caught him as his legs gave out. His weight nearly crushed her, but she held on, lowering him to the floor. Raymond, stay with me! His eyes rolled back. Blood trickled from his nose. The curse was attacking him directly, punishing him for acknowledging the mate bond. Vera's soul sight showed her the thorns digging into his heart, preparing to pierce it entirely. She had seconds to act. Without thinking, she pressed her palm to his chest and pushed her own soul light into him. Silver energy poured from her essence into his, wrapping around the black thorns, holding them back through sheer, desperate will. The curse recoiled from her light, hissing like a living thing. Raymond gasped, his eyes snapping open. He stared up at Vera, seeing her truly for the first time, silver light radiating from her body, her blind eyes glowing like stars, her soul blazing with fierce protective love. You, he whispered hoarsely, you're the woman from my dreams. I'm your mate, Vera said, her voice breaking, and I'm not letting you die. The door burst open. Lord Theron stood there, his corrupted soul writhing with rage. Well, he said softly, his hand moving to the dagger at his belt, isn't this touching? I suppose we're past pretending now. Theron didn't attack. He simply smiled, stepped back, and closed the door. The sound of a lock clicking echoed through the room. We'll discuss this tomorrow, his voice carried through the wood, when the king is thinking more clearly. Raymond struggled to sit up, his face ashen. "He's going to tell the council I've been bewitched by a blind servant. He'll have me declared unfit to rule." "Not if we expose him first," Vera said, but even she heard the desperation in her voice. They had 3 days before the alliance ceremony gave Theron his perfect opportunity. The great hall blazed with banners from 5 neighboring packs. Alpha Marcus Bloodmoon arrived with a retinue of 30 warriors. Alpha Helena Swiftclaw brought gifts of silver and steel. The air hummed with political tension and barely concealed ambition. Vera stood in the shadows, officially Raymond's serving girl, secretly his eyes. Her soul sight swept across the visiting delegations, searching for threats. She found one immediately. Alpha Kieran Ashbourne's essence writhed with betrayal, black tendrils coiled through his soul, not Theron's curse but something equally dark, intent to kill. His hand kept drifting to a concealed blade, his eyes tracking Raymond's position with predatory focus. Vera's heart hammered. She caught Mira's eye across the room, made the signal they'd practiced. The old healer frowned, then made her way to Raymond's beta. Minutes later, the beta approached Raymond, whispering urgently. Raymond's soul flared with irritation. "Your Majesty," the beta said carefully, "perhaps we should increase security regardless. We will not insult our guests based on a servant's delusions." Raymond's voice hardened. "Tell the girl to keep her fantasies to herself before I have her removed from the hall entirely." Vera's soul sight caught Theron's triumph from across the room. The advisor had positioned himself near Raymond, whispering poison disguised as reason. The curse fed on Raymond's anger, growing stronger with each dismissive word. Then she entered. Lady Seraphine Nightshade glided into the great hall like a goddess made flesh. Her raven hair cascaded in perfect waves. Her emerald gown clung to curves that drew every eye. Even Vera's soul sight couldn't deny her essence. Brilliant beauty wrapped around calculating ambition. Raymond's soul sparked with interest. Not love, but political appreciation. Seraphine was the perfect choice for queen. Connected, intelligent, acceptable to the council. Everything Vera could never be. "Your Majesty," Seraphine curtsied with practiced grace. "Thank you for the invitation. I've been so looking forward to this evening." "Lady Seraphine," Raymond took her hand, kissing it formally. "Your presence honors us." Vera felt the mate bond contract painfully in her chest. She forced herself to keep pouring wine, to remain invisible. "I must say," Seraphine's voice carried across the hall, deliberately loud, "your charity toward the less fortunate is truly admirable, Your Majesty." Raymond's brow furrowed. "I'm not sure I follow." "Why, keeping that poor blind girl on staff," Seraphine gestured delicately toward Vera. "Most courts would have cast her out. It speaks to your generous nature that you allow her to attempt service." Courtiers tittered. Vera kept her face blank, her milky eyes downcast. "She does try so hard," Seraphine continued, warming to her theme, "though I noticed earlier she poured wine into Lord Garrett's water glass. Quite amusing, really." That was a lie. Vera had poured perfectly, but contradicting a noble would only make things worse. "Indeed," Raymond said, and Vera heard the smile in his voice, "though I suppose we must make allowances for those less fortunate." The mate bond shattered something in Vera's chest. He was choosing this, choosing to mock her, to join Seraphine's cruelty because it was politically advantageous. "Perhaps she could entertain us," Seraphine suggested, her soul gleaming with malice. "I've heard blind musicians can be quite skilled. Does she sing, Your Majesty?" "I have no idea." Raymond's voice carried amusement now, playing to the crowd. "Girl, do you sing?" Vera's hands trembled on the wine pitcher. Every eye in the hall turned toward her. "No, Your Majesty." "Dance, then? Juggle?"
Seraphine's laughter was crystalline and cruel. Surely you must have some talent beyond stumbling about, looking pitiful. That's enough, Lady Seraphine, Raymond said, but his tone was indulgent, not commanding. We shouldn't torment the staff too severely. The dismissal hurt worse than the mockery. Vera was beneath consideration, beneath even the dignity of proper cruelty. She retreated to the servant's corner, her soul sight tracking Alpha Ashbourne's hand moving toward his hidden blade. The assassination would happen tonight, she was certain. But Raymond wouldn't listen, not when Seraphine hung on his arm, laughing at his jokes, being everything a queen should be. Vera watched as Raymond led Seraphine to the high table, seating her in the place of honor. The mate bond screamed in protest, but Raymond's soul barely flickered. The curse had deadened him to it so thoroughly he felt nothing. Hours passed. The feast progressed. Vera served silently, enduring pointed comments about her clumsiness, her uselessness, her charity case existence. Then midnight struck. Alpha Ashbourne rose from his seat, his soul blazing with murderous intent. He began moving toward Raymond, one hand inside his cloak.
Vera abandoned protocol. She rushed forward, intercepting him. "Your Majesty, please!" "Not now," Raymond said sharply, not even looking at her. He was deep in conversation with Seraphine, discussing potential alliance terms. "Your Majesty, he has a blade." "Enough!" Raymond's voice cracked like a whip. The hall went silent. "I have tolerated your disruptions out of pity, but this is beyond acceptable. Guards, escort this girl from the hall. She's clearly unwell." "But Alpha Ashbourne is an honored guest, and you are embarrassing me." Raymond's soul pulsed with genuine anger now. "Remove her, now." Guards grabbed Vera's arms. As they dragged her toward the exit, she saw Ashbourne's hand emerging from his cloak, the blade gleaming in the torchlight. "Raymond!" she screamed, abandoning all pretense. "Behind you!" But her warning came too late. Ashbourne's blade flashed toward Raymond's unprotected back. Time seemed to slow. Vera's soul sight showed her everything: the blade's trajectory, Raymond's oblivious soul, Seraphine's shocked expression, Farron's satisfied smile. Then silver light exploded from Vera's body. The guards holding her cried out, releasing her arms as her soul sight manifested physically for the first time in her life. White-silver energy radiated from her in waves, visible to everyone in the hall. The light hit Ashbourne's blade, stopping it mid-strike with a sound like shattering glass. The entire great hall froze, staring at the blind servant girl who blazed like a star. Raymond turned slowly, his eyes widening as he saw the assassin's blade inches from his back, held frozen by Vera's impossible power. "What?" he whispered, his voice carrying in the absolute silence. "Are you?" Vera's soul sight showed her Farron's rage, Seraphine's shock, and, most terrifying, 3 more corrupted souls among the visiting delegations. Ashbourne hadn't come alone. The other assassins moved simultaneously, drawing hidden weapons, lunging toward Raymond from 3 different angles, and Vera, her secret now exposed before the entire kingdom, had seconds to decide: let them kill her mate or reveal the full extent of her power and become the most hunted creature in the realm. The silver light around her body intensified, growing brighter. She made her choice.